Welcome to a deadline stream for Matchday 1 of Euro 2020 Fantasy Football. Thank you everyone who is tuning in, and I'm locking in my team. There haven't been too many changes since my team selection video, but nonetheless, I will be talking about my team, the kind of thought process I have, and I'll be talking about the one change I have made, as well as maybe a few doubts that I still have about my team. And I can see some reservations about some of these choices, having double Italy attack, having double Portuguese attack as well, but it kind of fits into my chip strategy, which I've made a video on about already. And yeah, I'll be going through all your questions and comments, so thank everyone who has tuned in, of course. And let's get on with it. And of course the lineups are out already, and as you can see here with the players I have from Italy, all of them are starting: Insignia, Berardi and Donnarumma. So I'll be talking about the lineup in a bit for both Turkey and Italy, and as well as going through all your questions. So Shadow Gaming says, thoughts on my team: goalkeepers Radetsky, Bachmann; defense Denaya, Spinazzola, Mele, Ristovski, Veindel, Ferran Torres, Erickson, Berardi, Mount, Alaba and Ronaldo, Depay, Lukaku. 0 in the bank. Any changes? I think that's a very good team. What I would say is that I'm not too sure about Alaba myself, but then again, when you look at his price bracket, the midfielder options aren't really too enticing. And as for Mason Mount, I actually would prefer Carrasco at 7 million at the moment, and the reason why is because Hazard and De Bruyne are likely to miss out, so Carrasco should be playing in an advanced position as opposed to playing as a wing back, and I think that would be very beneficial as just from a fantasy perspective. So I would consider maybe Carrasco for Mount. And as for Alaba, around this price there's not too many options. You already have Berardi, who's the standout, but yeah, I would probably move Mount to Carrasco personally. Jimmy says Bednarek and Mount, or Spinazzola and Berardi. I also have Insignia, by the way. Good question. I probably would go for the second option, Spinazzola and Berardi personally. I know a double up in their attack is a bit weird, and Turkey are a good team, and it's not like I'm expecting a lot of goals there, but I just think that combination is better. Alright Dylan, long time no see. Welcome Kobe, thank you once again for tuning in, and yeah, more Euro Fantasy Football live streams and also FPL content and UCL Fantasy to come in the future. Aranya says, will Bruno start for sure? I think he will start, not completely sure. He's sometimes not going to get the full 90 minutes. He does get substituted off and on quite a few times for Portugal, but I do think that they're going to play their best team, and Bruno does form part of that. And he had a great performance against Israel. They had a bit of a different formation. They tend to play 4-3-3, but in that game they played a 4-2-3-1 with Bruno just in behind the striker, and that's where he operates best. And if he is playing in that position, then I think he is worth monitoring. But I still think his overall international record isn't that impressive, and for his price, especially when De Bruyne comes back, you can get him, and you can also maybe just invest that money into your forward positions. Whom should I get, Marshall or Ward as a goalkeeper, says Ninad. The options aren't very enticing from those two, but I'd probably say Ward. Overall, I think Bachmann is the best at 4.5 million, and whoever starts between Stecklenburg and Krul, but who's going to start, I could not tell you that for sure. Aranya says, and is it wise to have 2 Italian attackers against Turkey? Haven't Turkey been doing good recently? They have. Another reason why actually at the moment I do have double Italy attack is because I look at other options like Erickson. He hasn't been too impressive this season, and for Denmark his numbers are very good overall, but not in recent years. I think in the qualifiers, I think Denmark scored 24 goals, something like that, and Erickson didn't score a single one of them. So otherwise I would probably be a bit more open to the idea of maybe Insignia to Erickson, but that would also mean downgrading someone else, maybe Donnarumma or Cristiano Ronaldo in my case. But yeah, I think I get your point. Turkey are a decent defence, but I'm also targeting Matchday 3, and because I'm likely to use my Limitless in Matchday 2 and not use a chip in Matchday 3, I think having Insigne and Berardi I'm pretty happy with. But of course I get the kind of things there. Let's see. Let's go Dylan. Thank you Roger for joining in. Best 7.5 million or lower forward. Moreno, Che Adams, that Austrian striker. Do you back Moreno to start? I'll be honest, I don't necessarily. I think Morata gets a lot of love from Luis Enrique, but Moreno is a fantastic option even if he comes off the bench, but ideally you'd want someone who is going to start. 7.5 million or lower, I think Moreno if he starts, but other than that, Che Adams is a decent punt. I'm not too sure about the Austrian strikers. I think Arnautovic is going to start. He declared himself fit, so he's someone worth monitoring, and he could play up front alongside that striker you named. Bonucci or De Ligt, says Thierry Henry. I probably would say Bonucci. I think if you want a Netherlands kind of defensive asset, go for Stecklenburg or Krul, whoever you think is going to start, or Weindl. I think those are the ones to go for. Who's more nailed, Bruno or Jotter? Who'd you pick between them? Bruno, I think, was probably a bit more nailed than Jotter, but Jotter's a bit more explosive, I think, at international level, despite Bruno's great performance the other day. I would pick Jotter because of that 2 million price difference, but I think they're good options. For some, Weghorst, he's decent, but I think, I would have said Wijnaldum is my pick from the Netherlands midfield, but I think with this 5-3-2 formation, he's not playing as advanced as he was before. So honestly, I probably would just stick with Depay, Weindl from Netherlands assets, and if you want maybe a midfielder, I think Weghorst is alright, but I'm not too sure about him, if I'm honest. I don't like the options around 7 million. Who is better, Soyuncu or Celik, the Turkish right back starting today? I'd probably say Celik. I'd go with him, and he's actually linked to a lot of clubs in the Premier League and all of that. I think Celik is probably a better value for money. Is it okay with double Denmark and double Austria defence? I think it is. I wouldn't double up on Austria defence personally. I know there's a big appeal for Matchday 1. I think I'd stick to 1 Austria defence and maybe double Denmark. Carrasco or Zielinski and Braithwaite or Yilmaz? Well, from those that you kind of mentioned, I would go with Carrasco and Yilmaz, but I'm not too convinced with Yilmaz in this game week. And having reassessed my first draft team, I did have Yilmaz in that. Looking at my chip strategy and all of that, I just didn't really see a need to get Yilmaz in yet anyway. Hi mate, Berardi and Ferran Torres or Insignia and Dani Olmo, says Emilio. Great question. I would go with the first lot, Berardi and Ferran Torres. I think that's a better duo, but both look very good. Is Carrasco a good option? Will he start? Any other options for 7 million? Well, there's Zielinski, there's Mount, and there's the Ukrainian midfielder. Let me actually check his name. But yeah, those are all good options. I think Carrasco, he's a good one for this match day, but I'm not too sure about match day 2 or 3, if I'm being completely honest, because yeah, I think Hazard could come back. De Bruyne should be back for the knockout stages, and that's when Carrasco is going to play deeper. But for match day 1 exclusively, I really like him. I already have Backman, so I can't get anyone from the Netherlands, so I guess I'll get Ward as a second choice keeper then. Yeah, that makes sense. If not, you could always go for a Hradecky as 4 million coverage. The only thing is that I think he clashes with Backman in match day 3, for example. Start Pau Torres or Weindl, mate. Matthew, so just to kind of make these rules clear, so you can play both of them, but if you check the date here, for example, Weindl plays first, Pau Torres plays the following day. So what you want to have in your situation is have Pau Torres on the bench, and if you see here these substitution windows that happen between each day within a match day, you want to be using that window to make substitutions and also to change your captaincy. So after kind of all your players in the starting 11 have played, then you can reassess. You see who is blanked, and whoever's blanked or done poorly, substitute them out for example, Pau Torres, bring them on. So there's no real need to say, oh, should I start Pau Torres or Weindl? You can have both of them starting, if anything, but it just depends on who in your starting lineup gets the points or not. Remember that substitutions are manual. You're going to be micromanaging your team throughout the week. So hopefully you got that. I made a first draft video. If you haven't checked that out already, I'd thoroughly recommend it because I break down all of the rules, and if there's any kind of doubts you have, I explain that perfectly there, and yeah, you have a better understanding of how things go. So yeah, hopefully you caught that. Pick 2 out of Erickson, Insignia and Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres I'd go for, and out of the other 2, probably Insigne, but yeah, I would kind of reconsider having Insigne and Berardi in my case, just to let you know, and I'd maybe have Erickson instead of Insigne, but he's 0.5 million more. I think Insigne does offer good value. Carrasco isn't expected to start in some predicted lineups, so should I go for Zielinski instead? I think Carrasco will start, but if you have a doubt, then I would probably go for someone like Zielinski. The problem is, and a lot of Polish people that I know have told me this, Zielinski isn't too impressive at international level, so that's something to kind of bear in mind. Ryan says, Schmeichel a good shout? He definitely is, and don't spam the chat, Ryan, otherwise you will be put on timeout. But yeah, Schmeichel is a good shout. Also, Mele and Kjær. I think those are the ones you want to look at from Denmark. But ultimately, yeah, I think Schmeichel's one of the better keepers out there. 5 million, and if not, there's Unai Simon. I think he's a fantastic option at 5 million. But yeah, he's a good shout. Is Immobile a good idea, says Josh? He is a good idea, but I personally would prefer Berardi and Insigne. I think they offer better value for money, and when you're looking at Immobile for a similar price, you can get Depay, Lukaku, and if you stretch out a bit more, you can get Harry Kane, Lewandowski, Cristiano Ronaldo. So yeah, with Immobile, I would look to the other Italian assets, especially in the midfield. Can you post the substitution winners in the community tab? I'll definitely do that, Brandon. Don't worry about that. And of course, after every match day, I'll be reviewing my team. I'll be talking about the substitutions I make and analysing what I did right and what I did wrong. So yeah, don't worry about that. I'll definitely be doing that. And also on Twitter, if you follow me on there, Dylan_RCM. 2U says, hiya mate, debating Llorente for Spain but not sure if he's 100%. I think he's going to start, but just to bear in mind, he plays as a right back predominantly for Spain. So yeah, not too sure about him, but 5 million, he's not too bad. But yeah, you're not really going to get too much, I think. So it's maybe worth considering getting Holles or Nigo for around 4.5 to 4 million and save that money and then invest it elsewhere. But I get the kind of logic that a lot of people have about having 15 decent options, playing options. So when you look at my team, for example, I have 14, but Nigo is not really going to get too many points, 1 or 2 points maybe. It's not ideal, but he's just bench fodder and he enables you to invest a lot of money in your attack. But I think Llorente is a decent option at 5 million, but I wouldn't expect too much. And if you look at his record for Atletico, the only player in La Liga this season to get double digits in assists and goals, I'm not sure if he's going to translate that into this tournament, but you never know. Kobe says, thoughts on this team: Fredeschi, Alioski, Denayer, Rodriguez, Zielinski, Elmas, Insigne, Berardi, Lukaku, Depay, bench, Szczesny, Pavard, Torres, Cancelo. I really like that. I would reconsider Pavard because he is facing Germany and then he faces Portugal. So I'm not too sure about that. Well, Portugal's in matchday 3, isn't it? But yeah, it depends on your chip strategy, Kobe. But if you're limitlessing or if you're using your limitless in matchday 2, I would reconsider Pavard for sure. I don't like Elmas too much, and Ricardo Rodriguez, he's got a bit of attacking upside. He's on penalties potentially for Switzerland, but I think there are better options elsewhere. The rest looks very good. Alioski, I wouldn't expect clean sheets from him, but he's 4.5 million. He's an exciting pick. He can get some attacking returns. So I like the rest. It's just those few that I mentioned that I'm not too sure about. Cancelo's very good for match day 1. I like that pick. Voke says, is it worth double Italy attackers or should I take one out? I think it's worth it. It's worth a risk and it's something different. A lot of people will be put off double Italy attack, but over the last few years, they've actually been a much different team to what we're used to seeing from Italy. So I think it's worth it. But if you're not entirely sure about it, I would recommend maybe getting rid of one of them. So maybe Insignia to an Erickson, for example, or a Carrasco or a Ferran Torres. There's a few options: Diego Jotter, Bernardo Silva. What's your chip strategy, says Fazil. So just like I said in my chip strategy video, the plan at the moment, but I'm a bit open-minded, is to play my limitless chip in matchday 2. I know it's a bit boring and I've actually really considered using it in matchday 3. I actually made a draft for both matchday 2 and matchday 3, and I actually liked the matchday 3 one more. But the problem there is that some of those players I picked for matchday 3, they might not necessarily start because their teams might be through already, and if that's the case, then there's going to be a lot of rotation in those sides that qualify already. So that's something that is still in the balance. I'm potentially going to limitless in 3, but most likely it's going to be in 2, and I've got a team that's good for matchday 1 and 3, and potentially I'll be using my wild card in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals whenever I think it's necessary and will benefit me the most. But there might come a situation where I limitless in 2 and I wildcard in 3, or vice versa. So I'm open-minded. I'm looking at all the different strategies, but at the moment, as things stand with my team, I'm going to be playing the limitless in 2 and I'm going to be playing my wildcard in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, something like that. But good question. Robin says, you got a mini league, mate? Good fun for the community. Okay, so in terms of the mini league, I will be actually showing it to you now, and yeah, let's go through that. So let's see. Let's get this up here, and yeah. So this is the league. The league code here is, well, right on screen: 52IQ YAV301. So yeah, hopefully you've got that. That is going to be the mini league code. I'll copy the link, and I'll also, yeah, I'll actually put it on the yeah, I'll just put it on the live chat right now. So thank you for that. And if you haven't already, by the way, for everyone who's tuning in, really appreciate everyone who's been joining in. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, share this video around. I'm going to be, for the next hour or so, I'm going to be talking and going through all your questions. And yeah, if you've got any kind of doubts or whatever, then don't worry, we're here to help. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same as my YouTube handle, Dylan_RCM. And as you can see that on screen, I'm going to be putting the link so you can just literally copy and paste and join the league, and it'll all be fine. So just give me a second on that. And then after that, I'm going to be talking about the lineups. and then talking about my team, why I've got some of the players that I do, and then yeah, pretty much that's how we're gonna roll in this live stream. So I'm gonna go here, and yeah, I'm gonna paste the link now. So anyone who is interested, you can join the league. And for FPL and also UCL Fantasy, for the first few videos that I make for that going into next season, I'll be definitely making a league, and I'll be inviting all of you. I'll put it in the community tab, I'll put it on Twitter, and also in my videos, so you can all join in. So this is the link, literally just copy and paste it, and yeah, just click it and you'll be good to go. You'll be in the league, and that's also going to be the code. So yeah, actually I'll pin the comment as well, and yeah, that's the league code. So yeah, I'd probably pin the league code. There you go. So yeah, that's all done, and yeah, if you have any more questions about the league or whatever, then let me know, and yeah, we'll be good to go. So this is my team once again. Looks great, doesn't it? Well, I'd hope so anyway. But yeah, let's go through the lineups. So Italy versus Turkey, that should be a good opener. Well, we'll wait and see what happens there. Let's get the lineups right here. They actually came out a bit earlier than expected. So I think around 6:40 or 6:50 GMT or British Summer Time they came out. So for Turkey, they're playing Sakir in goal, Selik, Soyuncu, Demiral, Meras, Yokoslu, Karaman, Tufan, Yashitsi, Kalanoglu and Yilmaz up front. And then with Italy, it's the exact same lineup as they did in the friendly the other day. Donnarumma, Spinazzola, Chiellini, Bonucci, Florenzi, Locatelli, Jorginho, Barella, Berardi, Insigne and Immobile. So it's a strong lineup from both teams, and yeah, it could be an even game, but then again, I've got the double Italy attack there, but we'll see how that pans out. Oh yeah, let's go through all these questions. There's a lot of comments coming in, really appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, just remember, don't do any spamming, especially if I've answered your question. Don't do any spamming, otherwise your comment won't be read. Zucchi says, not sure if you're familiar with the Scotland squad or the situation, but do you back Che Adams to start? Yeah, I think he will start, and I think he's going to do pretty well. I don't think he's completely nailed though, so he might start 2 out of the 3. But yeah, I think with Scotland, him and McGinn would be the main ones I'd be looking at. I don't like their defence enough to go for Tierney or Robertson. I don't think they're going to keep too many clean sheets. That's my opinion on it. So Dylan says, wow, I missed these live streams, the hype before a European Championship and fantasy football. Yeah, it's all here, and hopefully it lives up to the hype, but at least the fantasy game is showing a bit of promise, and there seems to be quite a few different strategies and teams going around, which is pretty good. Vogue says, Spinazzola and Bachmann or Donnarumma and Veindel. I'd go for Donnarumma and Veindel. It's a bit biased, I've got them myself, but I'd go for that. Yeah, Aranya, as I said before, I'd go for Jotter. Forsome Wijnaldum says, no, not for me, because personally what I think is the case is that Frank de Boer is going to play a 5-3-2, and Wijnaldum's not going to be as advanced as he was before for the Netherlands. So yeah, I think for around 8 million there are better options. I wouldn't go there. Since you have Ronaldo, will you be changing your captaincy every day until you get a player with multiple attacking returns? I think with Ronaldo it kind of opens that question up where you have to be a bit more aggressive with the captaincy. So it's not ideal, but the reason why I haven't gone for someone like Kane or Lewandowski, for example, is because I already have good alternative options on those match days for the captaincy. So for Kane, for example, he plays on the same day as Depay, and I have no issues with captaining him. And then with Lewandowski, he plays on the same day as Ferran Torres. He's a decent captaincy shout as well. So yeah, I think with Cristiano Ronaldo, I might aim for 2 attacking returns rather than just settle for the 1. I think I'm definitely going to be aiming for at least 8-9 points, and then that's when I might ease off and just accept the points, maybe even 10, but yeah, that's a good point. Tierney or Alioski, says Kobe. Probably Alioski, but I'm not too keen on either of them. Rahat says, why did you get rid of Bednarek? Well, I really like that fixture for Denmark against Finland, and I know I have Hradecki, but he's not really, he's just bench fodder really, if we're being honest. So I like that defence. Denmark have one of the better defences in the tournament outside the kind of top nations, and I think I really back Mæhle and Kjær to be just great assets overall, and a lot of people will be on 1 Denmark defender rather than 2. And with Bednarek, I'm not too sure about Poland. I've been looking at their recent records, not too many clean sheets. And I know he didn't play the other day, but Just with Poland, I don't have too much confidence in their defence. Insigne plus Nigo or over Zielinski and Alaba. Already have Berardi. I'd go for Insigne and and the bench fodder guy. What do you think about my captaincy choice? Berardi, Lukaku, Depay, Morata, Torres. Ooh, that's interesting, Morata. I haven't really seen him about, Nigel. I like that. I mean, a lot of people are going to be having a similar one to you. Berardi, Lukaku, Depay. But yeah, I like that. I really do. Do you not like Alaba debating on going for Jotter? I've all the same 5 defenders. Don't think I want to upgrade any to Italian defender. Don't think it's worth it. Yeah, I look at the Italian defence, and I've just got Donnarumma. He's just a set and forget goalkeeper. But as for defenders, there's Spinazzola and Bonucci, but not really too convinced by those options. As for Alaba, I just don't like him. I'll be honest. I don't think he plays particularly well on the left wing, and Austria might do very well against North Macedonia in Matchday 1, but ideally you'd want a defender from Austria, not Alaba. Ronaldo and Olmo or Kane and Torres? Good question. I'd probably go for Kane and Torres. Should I go for Kane or Depay? Good question. I think Depay, looking at the fixtures and also the kind of possibility of being dropped, especially if England already qualify by Matchday 3, I probably would go for Depay. Gosens and Torres over Mount and Cancelo, also considering Matchday 3. Yeah, I prefer the first one, Gosens and Torres. That's very good. And I think if you're playing a limitless on Matchday 3, I think Gosens is a kind of a nailed-in guy there. Ronaldo or Kane? I think Ronaldo will outscore Kane, but I've got a bit of a headache regarding both of them because just the kind of captaincy situation, being able to change your captaincy every single day. I'm not even sure if Ronaldo is going to be my captain in the end, but obviously do want to have him in my starting lineup. I prefer him over Kane, but just Ronaldo playing on the final day kind of complicates things for a lot of people, so that's just something I would suggest. Alright, thank you Rahul and Robin for joining in, really appreciate it. No problem, and yeah, next time I probably will be making it earlier, the league, but yeah, I made it just before the deadline stream, and here we are. Rock and roll, yeah, if you check the pinned comment, there is the league code, and there's also a link for you to join, so yeah, you can definitely join in the league and join in the fun. I have Chiesa. What should I do? I just move into Berardi personally. If you have Berardi and Chiesa, that's where it gets a bit more difficult. I'd probably just move to Carrasco. So yeah, Berardi or Carrasco, I'd move him to. Spinazzola or Donnarumma? I prefer Donnarumma. Ali says, what do you think of my team? Donnarumma, Kjaer, Mæhle, Denayer, Wijndal, Erickson, Alaba, Tielemans, Berardi captain, Lukaku, Depay, Hradecky, Ferran Torres, Pau Torres, Ronaldo. That's a solid team. I really like that. And Tielemans is an interesting pick. I think he could do pretty well despite him playing in a kind of defensive position or a deeper position. I already made my feelings clear about Alaba. I'm not that sold on him, but around 5.5 million, he's one of the better options. So yeah, overall it's a good team, and yeah, it looks very promising. You don't even have any kind of bench fodder like Hollis, so that looks pretty good. Should I keep Donnarumma or get a different keeper? If you want money to invest elsewhere, then what you could do is get Unai Simon in goal or Bachmann. I think those are the kind of ones I'd look at. For this match day only, would you pick Depay or Lewandowski? Looking at the fixture exclusively, I would say Lewandowski, but I'm not too sure about Poland, and Lewandowski's record in international tournaments doesn't fill me with confidence, if I'm being frank. So I still would say Depay, but obviously the fixture does favour Lewandowski. Adil says, yeah, there is a league. I'm going to put the link again, actually. Check the pin comment. That's the league code. So if you go on the pin comment, you can copy and paste that league code, and you can type it in, and you'll be in the league. But yeah, I'll just I'll write this for a second as well. So this is the link for the league. Let's get it up again. And yeah. So that's the link to join the league, and also, yeah, the code is right there, 52IQ YAV301. So yeah, hopefully you got that, and yeah, should be good, should be very, very good, and hopefully, yeah, a lot of points. Hopefully there's a winner. The eventual winner of Euro 2020 Fantasy Football is one of you lot, but obviously, yeah, got to work hard for it, and got to micromanage your team every single week. Don't forget that. It's not like FPL where it's a bit more casual maybe. So yeah. Should I keep Alaba or whom should I get for 5.5? Yeah, I think Yashitsi is a good option at 5.5. Other than them two at 5.5, I really don't like the options, if I'm honest. So if you don't have Berardi, for example, already, I'd stretch to him at 6 million. But ultimately, the reason why I have a bench fodder of 4 million is because I just don't like the options around 5 or 5.5, if I'm being honest. So Fitri says Italy, Denmark, Netherlands, England, Spain and Germany. They all play their games at home. That's correct. So give advantage for this team. Do you agree? Yeah, that's why I really like the picks from Italy, from Denmark. I mean, I've got multiple players from those teams. Netherlands as well. England's another one. That's a good point. And, maybe I should be going for Kane over Ronaldo. That's something I have considered. And I might still even make that move in the end. And Spain, yeah, I've got double Spain. I'm not really too happy about their COVID situation. It could affect things, and there might be a few changes in their team. And Germany, but when I look at Germany, the group is too tough. I'd mainly just be targeting Matchday 3 against Hungary, where they might be in a position where they need to be winning comfortably by a big margin to qualify, and that could be a great opportunity to target Gnabry, Gossens, Müller, all these sorts of players. Alaba or Yashitsi, I probably would prefer Yashitsi, but not for this match day. If I'm looking at match day 1, Alaba, but for the whole group stage, I think Yashitsi is a better option. Why do people have 2 Danish defenders? Isn't one enough and then look elsewhere, or am I missing something? Well, it's just kind of a gut feeling in terms of I think they could keep a clean sheet against Finland. And then when I look at the other 4.5 million options, there's Bednarek. I could go for him, but then again, I'm just not that sure about Poland keeping a clean sheet throughout the whole group stage. Maybe against Slovakia, so it's a good opportunity to have him. But yeah, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I get your concerns about double Denmark defence, but I definitely wouldn't triple up. I've seen some people do that. I wouldn't go that far, but I think a double is decent, but I don't like defensive double ups in general, I'll be honest. Che Adams or Lyndon Dykes? I'd say Che Adams. I have 3 Ukrainian players, Sinchenko, Malinovsky, he's another good 7 million option by the way, and Yaremchuk. Risking it all because I think we will beat Holland by a lot. Fair enough. I mean, Holland are there to be gotten at. I don't think Ukraine will beat them comfortably, but they have the capacity, they have the ability to beat them. But then again, I'm not sure. Netherlands, they could either be really good in this tournament or really bad. I think I'm not really expecting too much from them. Should I sub out Chiesa and get a new player? Yeah, I would, Gaming Legends. I would get Berardi or Carrasco. I'd make it simple. Carrasco, Mount or Berardi, says Ebby. I'd go for Berardi, then Carrasco, then Mount. But with Carrasco, I'll be honest, it's mainly for matchday 1. Good fixture in matchday 3 as well, to be fair, but I'm just not that sure if he's going to maintain that advanced position going into the future. This Italy side under Mancini really excites me. Great camp and squad, great defence, great attack. They are by far the dark horses of this tournament with a 27-game unbeaten run under their belt. I completely agree, Dylan. The only thing I would say is that they haven't faced great opposition in that time. I think the best teams they faced are Poland and Holland, who aren't particularly impressive, if we're being honest. But having said that, you still have to beat these teams in front of you, and Italy are scoring goals, they're creating chances, and they're being very, I can't even speak, solid defensively. I think they've actually got 8 clean sheets in a row or something ridiculous like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this Italy team. I don't think they're going to win it, but they could be kind of the outside pick, because everyone's thinking that, Belgium, Portugal or France will win it, but Italy could be one of those outsider picks that could do very well. Who should I buy from midfield for 8 million? I'd say Ferran Torres, Carrasco. I'd be looking at those sorts of players. Those are the 2 that stand out. Is there anyone else I'm missing? I would have said Wijnaldum if Netherlands were playing a 4-3-3, but because they're playing a 5-3-2 and Wijnaldum's sitting deeper, I'm not too sure about him. Marco says, hey Dylan mate, good luck this Euros in fantasy. Wonder if you're supporting England. It's coming home either way. Personally, which non-major nation defender would you have? Example, Alioski, Bednarek, Kabak, etc. Great questions. I won't be supporting England. I'm just going to be supporting Argentina and Copa America. As for the Euros, I'm not really supporting a team. I would like Belgium to win it. I like it when someone new wins, but yeah, I'm not going to be supporting England, I think. As for which non-major nation defender, I'd probably go for one of the Denmark defenders. So I'd probably say Mæhle, because what I really like about him is his ownership, and he's got 3 assists in his last 8 games for Denmark. So yeah, and at one point, I think when I got him in, he was around 3% ownership. So yeah, I really like that pick. I'd probably go for him. Should I sub out Chiesa because he's not playing? Yeah, I already answered that question, Gaming Legends. No need to re-ask. Best of luck to you, Dylan, and to everyone. Thank you, Brandon. Good luck to you as well. Is having 3 Italian defence good? I'd stick to 2 maximum. I wouldn't go for triple. And also, you're missing out on players like Berardi and Insignia who could do very well in the midfield, so I wouldn't go for triple. Will Carrasco start for sure? I wouldn't say for sure, but I think he will start. Was thinking that what if Donnarumma gets 1 or 2 points? Should we still switch to Hradeski? Could get more points, slim chance, but could even end up scoring worse and conceding more. Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, the goalkeeper situation doesn't fill me with complete confidence. I don't like spending 5.5 million on a goalkeeper, if I'm being honest. But it is what it is. It's the way the cookie crumbles, and I've done that at the moment. I've also kind of considered Unai Simon. I've considered Bachmann. But yeah, what I could do personally is move Ronaldo to Kane, cover England, and also move Hradeski to Bachmann, and then I've got Matchday 1 covered at least, where if Donnarumma doesn't keep a clean sheet, I've got Bachmann, who is very likely, at least on paper, to get a clean sheet against North Macedonia, so that's one to look out for. Spinner, Bonucci, Donna. Yeah, no, I'll just have 1 or 2. I wouldn't go for 3. Carrasco, Mount, or Berardi? Ebby, I answered your question already. I said Berardi would be my first choice, then it'd be Carrasco, and then Mount. No need to repeat your question. Callum Wilson says, hi, can you rate my team? Donnarumma, Hinteregger, Mæhle, Kjaer, Denaya, Mount, Alaba, Insigne, Berardi, Lukaku, Depay, Hradeski, Pau Torres, Malinovsky, and Ronaldo. I really like that team, by the way. I like the Malinovsky pick. It's interesting. The ones that I'm not too sure about, I've said this before, Mason, Mount, and Alaba. So I would consider Carrasco maybe for Mount. And as for Alaba, I mean, for 5.5, there's not really another option. What you could do is move to a 4 million midfielder or 4.5, and then you can use the rest of the money to upgrade either Mount or someone else. But it's a very good team. Who will start for Belgium as the 2 wingers? I think it'll be Mertens and Carrasco, with Hazard being out. When you look at, for example, Thorgan Hazard, he tends to play as a wing-back, as a left wing-back. But yeah, that's what I would say. I'm using Limitless in Game Week 2 and Wildcard Game Week 3. Yeah, that's a very popular tactic. And yeah, Limitless in Game Week 2, I think the majority of people are going to be doing that. But if you actually make a draft and you assume that most of the big kind of hitters are going to be playing a Matchday 3, I think Matchday 3 is actually a very good week to play it. Mount or Carrasco? I'd go for Carrasco for Matchday 1, personally. And that's because with Mount, I'm not so sure what position he's going to play in Matchday 1. It could be very deep, next to Rice or Henderson, for example, and I don't really like that. Tielemans, Alaba, Donnarumma, or Insigne, Inigo, and Unai Simon. Good question. I'd probably go for the second set of players, Ali. If it came down to who would you go for, Arnautovic or the other striker, who would you go for? Well, who would start more? I think it would be Kalashits. I've actually not heard his pronunciation before, and I haven't checked him. I'd probably say he's more likely to start, but Arnautovic, it actually, with the comments that were made by the Austrian manager, by Arnautovic himself, I think he's going to start, and potentially with that other striker that you mentioned. But I would say the other one's more likely to start, but I would prefer Arnautovic in my team. Yeah, Das, as I already said, I'd go for Carrasco. There's no need to repeat the question. Apparently Carrasco's playing left wing back and Thorgan's playing left wing. Would have thought it'd be the other way around. Maybe Thorgan's a better option. Perhaps, that's a good point. And Carrasco actually for Atletico Madrid does play as a wing back a lot, so that is something that Roberto Martinez could do. So that's a good point you make there. But yeah, I think sometimes you have these picks that look very good on paper. You know, oh, Eden Hazard's out, Carrasco's going to play in his position, and in the end he plays as a wing back and he just doesn't do what you want him to. Dylan says Berardi has scored in his last 4 appearances. Not a bad captaincy option for those without Insignia and Immobile today. Yeah, I think so. I think he could even, I don't know about getting a big haul, but he could maybe tick along with an assist or a goal. So yeah, that's a good point you make there. And Berardi's got 5 goals in 11 appearances for Italy, so solid record. I captain Berardi for today. Should I switch to Barella or Donnarumma? I just stick it with Berardi. I wouldn't switch to the other two, personally. Do you think Hinteregger for Pau Torres would be good because of the COVID situation? I mean, some of the names that came out from the Spanish squad who had COVID, including Busquets, it didn't involve Pau Torres, so I would keep him personally, but there is a risk. Bear that in mind, but I would stick with Pau Torres. What do you think about Grealish? He's an exciting option, but I'm not completely sure if he's going to start, and I don't like that. I want someone for around 7.5 million who's going to be starting, and especially if you're looking to play your Limitless in 2 and potentially save your wildcard for later on, you want to guarantee that your players are starting. And with Grealish, it could be Foden instead in his position, and there's a lot of different ways Southgate can go about it, so I'm not sure about Grealish because of the kind of rotation risk. Or maybe Spinazzola for an outside captaincy shout and attacking fullback in a defence that hasn't conceded in over 13 hours. Yeah, and he's also got a few attacking returns this season, and also for Italy. Yeah, Spinazzola would be my pick from the defence, but I'm pretty happy with Donnarumma. But then again, having said that, you know, I'm not entirely sure about my goalkeeper situation looking at it, but Spinazzola is a good option, yeah. Nigo or Alaba already have Pau Torres and Ferran Torres. I mean, Alaba's probably going to get you more points, but is he worth that extra 1.5 million which you could spend elsewhere? Not too sure about that, Lewis, but depends what you're going to do with the rest of your money. If you're going to use it well and you're going to improve your team, then I go for Nigo. Why Ronaldo on the bench? As I said before, so just for anyone who's got any kind of doubts about the substitution window and the captaincy, what I would recommend is watch my previous videos, because there I literally dissect all the rules and I break them down clearly. So the reason why I've got Jotter, Ronaldo and all these players on the bench, if you can see here on the date, they're all playing on the 15th of June, other than Hradeski, but ignore him for now. So they're all playing on the 15th of June. What you can do throughout each day is, during these substitution windows, you can make changes to your starting 11. So what my plan is wait out until the 15th of June, for the outfield players anyway, see how everyone does, and then I can see who's got the least amount of points. And then I identify those players, I take them out, and I bring on Ronaldo and I bring on Jotter, because you're able to do that in this game, just like with UCL Fantasy. You can't do it in FPL, but that's a different story. So that's why Ronaldo's on my bench. And you can also change your captaincy during these substitution windows. So let's say Insignia blanks, that's calm. I'll be captaining Lukaku tomorrow. And then what about Depay the following day? That's fine, he'll be my captain. And then after it will be Ferran Torres, and then it would be Ronaldo. But that's obviously assuming that all the captaincies fail, which they probably won't. But that pretty much breaks it down. Hopefully you got that. And if not, if you have any remaining doubts, just watch that first draft video I made where I break down the rules, and yeah, I'll give you a better answer. Adil says, can you give your opinions on this team? Donnarumma, Veindel, Denayer, Kjaer, Hinteregger, Berardi, Insigne, Yeshitsi, Mount, Depay, Lukaku, Hradeski, Ferran Torres, Pau Torres, Ronaldo. That looks solid, and yeah, it's a good balance. Yeshitsi is a decent option at 5.5. I'm not too sure if he's going to do anything today, but he could be good for match days 2 and 3. But I do like that team. I think it's pretty good, to be honest. And I've kind of reconsidered a few things on my team, looking at teams like yours, for example. For example, Hinteregger could come in for one of my Denmark defenders. I mean, what I could say in your situation is you could maybe go for Mæhle instead of Kjaer, just to have a more of a differential and also a more attacking outlet. I don't think Kjaer... He's got a very poor record in terms of goals, especially for Denmark. I'm not sure if he has scored. Maybe it's just 1 goal in like 97 appearances, something ridiculous like that. But you never know. Sometimes these options just can turn up in a tournament. So that's kind of the only nitpick I would say. Maybe go for a differential like Mæhle. But yeah, that's a solid team. Tielemans or Soucek? I'd go for Tielemans, but I'm not too happy with either option, Thierry. Carrasco or Jotter? I'd still prefer Jotter, especially for match day 1. But going forward, of course, you could argue Carrasco, but I'd say Jotter. I've had a nice draft sitting on my screen, but I need to fund 0.5 to get it, and everything I do seems like too much of a downgrade. I have this Ronaldo, Mount, Ristovski, Alaba, or Kane, Jotter, Alioski, and Nigo. Oh, that's difficult. I'd probably go for the second set of players. So Kane, Jotter, Alioski, and Nigo. What do you think about Braithwaite? I've said this before. So from Denmark, I like the defensive options, Schmeichel, Mæhle, Kjaer. And from the attack, really, I'd probably say Erickson. I'm not really too sure about Braithwaite. And yeah, I don't think he's even going to start most of the time. But, well, to be fair, I mean, Braithwaite can play on the left and also up front. So fair enough, but I would go for Erickson. So ignore what I said about him not playing most of the time. I think he will, but I would go for Erickson personally. But obviously that's a big price difference, isn't it? Do you think certain formations from a team benefit your team? What do you mean by that? Do you think certain formations from a team benefit your team? I see you're struggling with the pronunciation. My understanding is that it's pronounced Kalicic. Okay, Kalicic, there you go. My bad for that. I mean, in terms of the pronunciations, what I've done is researched a lot of them, but because I've never really considered Kalicic, I haven't checked him out. So thanks for that. Really appreciate it. But yeah, he's kind of one of the only options I've kind of looked at and thought, yeah, he might be alright, but I'm just not going to, bother with him anyway. But yeah, thanks. Kalicic, I got that. Pau Torres or Garcia? Pau Torres, but yeah, I mean, if Luis Enrique wants to lose, then yeah, play Eric Garcia, in my opinion. Are we certain Italy will get a clean sheet? Finland won't. Yeah, I don't think Finland won't, but Hradeski is just a bench fodder. Donnarumma, I think, will keep 1 or 2 clean sheets throughout the group stages, but I get your kind of concerns. I think maybe it might be worth going for a backman, for example, instead of Donnarumma, but I really like Italy's defence. I like their team. I like the fact they're at home, and I want one of their defensive options, and I don't like their defenders, so Donnarumma is what I'm left with. Is Dylan RCM your real name? Well, Dylan is my real name, and RCM are just initials, but yeah, Dylan is my real name. Just a suggestion, you might want to change to Bernardo Silva, who is a guaranteed starter, whereas Jotter might not start. I mean, that's a fair point with Jotter. I think he has this kind of, or should I say the manager, Santos, he has this kind of propensity to substitute Jotter out, and I don't like that, but I think if Jotter gets 60 minutes against Hungary, I think he can do really well. Bernardo Silva's a bit more nailed, but he's also not as explosive as Jotter, who's got a decent record for Portugal. So yeah. What's your scoreline prediction for today? That's a good question, actually. Let's go to my match predictor. So let's get that up there. And here we go. So, match predictor. Games. Let's change it now. I think I had something like 1 or 2-0 for Italy. Okay, so yeah, 2-0 Italy I've gone with. First player to score Immobile. Well, but when am I playing my ×2 booster? Oh, for Portugal. Okay, yeah, just forget that. So Italy 2-0. I think Turkey could score. They could nick a goal. I'd go for a 1 or 2-0 for Italy. I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah, I think 2-0 Italy. And Immobile or Insignia, I think one of them is going to score. But yeah, we'll see. Best cheap midfielders. Berardi, definitely a standout. Then I'd be looking at, if you want someone around 5 to 5.5, then I look at Yashitsi, Alaba, and also Llorente. And then if you can stretch a bit more to 7 million, maybe Carrasco, Mount, Zielinski, Malinovsky. So around 7 million or under, those are the ones I'd be looking at. Tielemans at 6.5. Kane or Ronaldo, I think for this fixture only, I think Ronaldo will outscore him, but I'm not sure. I'm looking at it now, and I think with Ronaldo it's a bit of a luxury to have, because as I said before, he's playing on the last day. You might already have a captaincy haul from one of the other players, so is it worth 12 million for Ronaldo? Not so sure, but I think Ronaldo will outscore him. Hi Dylan, thoughts on Yilmaz? I had him in my first draft, but ultimately I think Matchday 1, I don't see him scoring. He could, but I don't see it happening. And I think Matchday 2 or 3, he's a good option. Erickson or Insigne? Very tough. I'd probably say Insigne because of Erickson's season and his record for Denmark recently. But Erickson's a good shout. I really like him. Best 7 million or under mids except Carrasco. Yeah, Malinovsky, Mount, Zielinski, Tielemans, Yashitsi, Alaba, Llorente. Those are the kind of ones I'd be looking at. Foden or Mount? I prefer Foden if he starts, but I think Mount is just nailed. But Foden's more explosive and he's such a talent. I think he's pretty much England's kind of most talented player in a way. But yeah, I think I'd go for Foden, but I just don't know if he's going to start. That's the problem. Mount and Yashitsi or Jotter and Nigo? Can you give your opinions on these combos for just Matchday 1 and 3? I mean, I like Jotter and Nigo for Matchday 1, but looking at Matchday 3, I'm not so sure, because what my plan is probably to move on my Portuguese assets to someone else. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but Mount and Yashitsi is probably better for Matchdays 1 and 3, so as an overall package. But for Matchday 1 exclusively, I think Jotter's better. Mount or Carrasco? I still go for Carrasco, but there is the possibility, as alluded to by some people on the chat before, I think he might play as a wing back, but Mount as well, he could play in a central position, a really deep one. Is this your final team for today? Well, I'll be honest, I don't want to panic, I don't want to make late changes, but what I have considered is potentially So yeah, we'll stick with the 2-0 prediction. Potentially going elsewhere with some of these players. So maybe a Bednarek could come back in, for example, a Hinteregger. Maybe even downgrade Donnarumma, but I don't think I'd want to do that personally. And maybe even Ronaldo to Kane. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting how this game works. Just the fact that there's the substitution windows, there's different captaincies, and the fact Ronaldo's playing on the last day affects, the amount of people who want him, because it kind of reduces his appeal as an asset. So yeah, ultimately I think most of it's going to stay the same if I do make a late decision, maybe based on a gut feeling. But sometimes they don't turn out too well. But I think this will be my final team. But what I am considering is potentially moving one of my Denmark defenders, Ronaldo. And I think probably that's it. Those would be the ones changing. Maybe the goalkeepers, but I don't think so. I don't want to change things now. I put a lot of thought into this. And I like the balance I have. I like some of the differentials I have in terms of combinations. So yeah, I mean, this is what I might end up with. Forwards up to 7.5 million. I'll be honest, I'm not really a big fan of them. But let's see. Let's look at the forwards at 7.5 million. Just to recap, I'll be honest, I've mainly been looking at just the premiums. I think in games like this and UCL Fantasy, I really like having the premium forwards. But Moreno, if he starts, I think he's just a great option. Pukki's decent. I probably wouldn't go there. Arnautovic I actually like a lot. I think he's going to start, and against North Macedonia, yeah, I think he could be a great option. So Arnautovic is someone to consider. Also Kalicic, he's a good option, potentially. Only for Matchday 1 though, if I'm being honest. Maybe Braithwaite for Matchday 1 could be good, but I personally would just go with double defence or one defender and Erickson. I think that's enough. And other than that, is there anyone else? Che Adams I like, especially against Czech Republic. I actually like that option. Anyone else? Yeah, I probably would just stick with those lot. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's a differential around 0 million that just does the business, but yeah, those are the ones I'd be looking at. So yeah, definitely. Pau Torres or Kiar? Already have Mele. I'd probably say Pau Torres. Sorry for the confusion. Some teams focus on less forwards, while some focus more on switching midfielders more frequently. Also, does that benefit our teams? Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to identify these sorts of things. And for example, I talked about this before. Wijnaldum playing in a 4-3-3, that benefits you if you have Wijnaldum, because he's going to be in a more offensive position. But if Frank de Boer utilises a 5-3-2, then Wijnaldum's not really as interesting or as profitable of an asset, because he's not going to be playing or getting into those positions you want, and he's not going to get the goals and assists. So yeah, I think it definitely does play a part. Do transfers roll over? I think so. For example, if you don't make a transfer in Matchday 2 and you don't play a chip, I think one transfer does roll over, if I'm not mistaken. But the difference with UCL Fantasy, and this is something that people have actually contacted the UEFA team about, in UCL Fantasy, if you play the Limitless in Matchday 2, going into Matchday 3, you won't have 2 free transfers, you're going to have 3, because you get one additional one. But in this game, you're only going to have 2. So it doesn't matter if you played your Limitless or your Wild Card, you're only going to have 2 free transfers in the following week. So yeah, in terms of rolling transfers, I think only 1 max. And if you play a chip, it doesn't roll over. I think that's how it works. And if not, then yeah, it would be no transfers rolled over. But throughout the group stages, as I talked about in my kind of rules section of my first draft video, you get 2 free transfers between each match day in the group stages. Who should I buy for a 4.5 million defender? Spanish, Italian, or any suggestion? Well, Italian, you're not going to get anyone who starts at 4.5 million. Bastoni is the most likely, but he's not starting today. And it will be Chiellini and Bonucci most likely throughout the tournament. Spanish, it'd be Pau Torres, I think. And in terms of other options, there's Bednarek, there's Kiar, there's Mele, there's Denaya. I think he's just a standout if you don't have him already. I think you're overlooking him. Veindel, yeah, Alioski for his attacking potential. Those are the ones I'd be looking at. Keep Erickson or get someone cheaper to get a premium defender, possibly Italian defender. It depends who you'd get rid of him for. So when you say someone cheaper, who would it be? Because if it's someone significantly worse than Erickson on paper, then I'm not sure. Hey Dylan, what do you think about Zielinski? I think at 7 million he's one of the better options, but I prefer Malinowski and probably Mount and Carrasco. But he's decent, no doubt about it. Immobile or Lewandowski? I'd go for Lewandowski for match day 1 anyway. And as I said before with Italy, I prefer Berardi and Insigne. Do I have to predict all of the games of match day 1 before the match day starts? If you're talking about the predictor thing, then no, you don't. You have to basically just do it before the game starts. So each individual game. So don't worry about that. Last minute change for me with Spinazzola coming in and Donnarumma coming out for 4.5 million backman in an Austrian team backed by the odds for a clean sheet against Macedonia. Yeah, the only thing I would say is that if you have Hradecki too, just be wary that in match day 3, Hradecki and Backman play on the same day, so you're not able to substitute the goalkeepers out. But I think Backman's a good choice, and he's someone I've actually considered myself for my team. I think Backman's a good choice. I think he's at 4.5. I think he's a standout. It would be Krul or Stecklenburg, but that kind of 50-50 decision, which I don't think Frank de Boer has made his mind up totally yet, that kind of sways it, and I think Backman's the standout. Will Mount start for England? I'm very certain he will. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Yeah, Kalicic doesn't excite me, but I'm deciding to go with one cheap striker as opposed to 3 premiums in order to spread funds to substitutes. My strategy is to capitalise off that ability to substitute. Yeah, I think throughout the group stages we're going to get a good idea of how things are going to pan out in terms of what is the best team structure. Should we go with 3 premiums? Should we just go with 2? And should we invest a lot more money into our midfield? And as you can see in my case, I mean, all of my defenders are budget really. So yeah, that's a good point you raise. And sometimes thinking outside the box is good, and a lot of people will be having triple, kind of premium attackers, but it might be to their detriment. So that's a good idea. Mount, Grealish or Foden? I think if they all start, I really like Foden, if I'm being honest. But Mount is going to be the most nailed, and I think Foden and Grealish are kind of fighting with each other in a way to be playing. Kane or Lewandowski for this week only? Based on the fixture, I'd say Lewandowski, but once again, I have to stress it. His record in international tournaments, it just really puts me off. Otherwise, he'd be in probably instead of Ronaldo. Kane or Depay? I actually prefer Depay throughout the group stages, but I think they're both great options. And for match day 1, even though both games are difficult on paper, I'd probably edge towards Depay. Erickson, Berardi captain, Ristovski or Insigne captain, Berardi, Alioski, Bednarek, Kjaer already have Mailer, so would be double. I would captain Berardi and yeah, I think it's fine if you have Kjaer and Mailer, but if you're not too sure, then go for Bednarek, I'd say. Souček and Torres or Carrasco and Zielinski? Ooh, that's tough. That's really tough. Oh my god. I mean, Aman, if you don't have Berardi already, I think you do. But if you don't, I'd go for Torres and Berardi, and I think that would be a great duo. But otherwise, yeah, I'd probably still go for that duo, but I'm not really too sure about Souček. Hradecki clean sheet, what do you think? I don't think so. I don't see a clean sheet. He's just there for bench fodder, and someone who could potentially maybe nick a clean sheet here, like one clean sheet throughout the tournament, but I just don't see it. Carrasco or Mason Mount? Yeah, I'd go for Carrasco personally. No need to spam the chat. Is there 3 match days before the round of 16, and how many free transfers are there for each match day before the knockouts? Yeah, there are 3 match days. It's not like the Champions League where there are 6 because everyone plays each other twice. There's only 3. And how many free transfers are there for each match day? 2. So 2 free transfers. Even if you play a chip, you only have 2 free transfers between each match day. And then obviously going into the round of 16, you have unlimited transfers once again, just like as we do now. So yeah. Lukaku and Alaba or Austrian young striker and Insigne? Are you talking about Kalicic? Lukaku and Alaba, that's tough. I'd probably go with Lukaku and Alaba, but both good duos. I'm not too sure about Alaba and also Kalicic. Bednarek, Veindal, Alioski or Kjaer already have Mailer. I'd go for Mailer or Kjaer, should I say? And if not, Veindal, yeah, because of the fixtures. Carrasco plus Lorente or Nigo plus Jotter for match day 1. I'd probably go for Jotter and Nigo for match day 1 only. Thanks for all the tips, Dylan. I'll always be here from now on. Subscribed and liked all your videos. Thank you, Roger. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you in more videos in the future. And yeah, just very humbled by your support. And yeah, obviously hope to stay in touch soon. Also on Twitter and Instagram, hopefully. Police officer says, are you going to make any more changes to this team? Yeah, only 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm going to be sticking to this. Who should I pick, Berardi or Mount? Berardi for me. Why Mailer? Good question. Well, the reason why I have Mæhle is because I like his attacking potential. He's got 3 assists in his last 8 games. I really like that Finland fixture, which is why I've decided to double up on Denmark defence. And I think at 4.5 million, he's probably, apart from Denier, I think he's the best option on paper, because he plays in a team that isn't really expected to do that well in the tournament. I think Denmark could be one of the surprise packages. And I think Mæhle, at 5% ownership, I think he just offers a great differential, and I think he will get 1 clean sheet and possibly an attack and return throughout the group stages. So I really like Mæhle, and that's why I've got him. Can you join mini leagues after the deadline? I'm pretty sure you can. I think you can. I'm fairly, I think you can, definitely. So what I'm going to be doing on Twitter and also on YouTube and all of that, I'm going to be posting the league code and also a link to join. So definitely check them out. So follow me on Twitter and also subscribe to the channel, and you'll be notified when I post. And also the league code is obviously in the pinned comment, so you can just copy that and also just join. Can you rate my team? Donnarumma, Spinazzola, Mæhle, Denier, Wijndal, Carrasco, Zielinski, Alaba, Berardi, Lukaku, Depay, Backman, Ronaldo, Pau Torres, Ferran Torres. Opinion on bringing in Erickson into that? Yeah, if you bring in Erickson, it would probably have to be, you'd have to downgrade somewhere else. But I like the team. I really like your defence. I like the double Italy defence. I like Spinazzola captaincy. It's very good. I like your attack. The midfield is where I'm not too sure about. So you might have to downgrade somewhere else, like your attack or your defence, and then invest a bit more money, because having Carrasco, Zielinski and Alaba, I'm not too sure about. I like Berardi. I think you could even get an attack and return today. But I'm not so sure about having all of the other 3, who are all risky picks, and they can all play in a deeper position or not really fulfill their potential fantasy-wise. But I really like that team. Double Spain defence, yeah, I think Unai Simon and Pau Torres would be the kind of standouts. And if you have enough money, I think Jordi Alba. But the problem with him is that he's fighting with Gaia, who played very well the other day in the friendly. Lewandowski and Mount, or Lukaku and Forsberg? Very good question. I mean, I prefer Lukaku and Forsberg, but what I don't like about Forsberg is the fact he plays Spain first. But I really like that. I think that's a good duos that you offered there. Alaba or Yashitsi, please help. Yashitsi, as I said before, just my opinion. You don't have to take my word for it, but I prefer Yashitsi. Not for Matchday 1 necessarily, but just throughout the whole group stage. Berardi or Mount? Rory, I prefer Berardi, definitely, no doubt about it. Ronaldo plus Alaba or Morata plus Jotter? Probably Morata and Jotter, but not too sure about Morata. Basically, Erickson, Berardi, cheap Italy captain, and cheap 4 million defender, Ristovski, or Insignia, premium Italy captain, Berardi not captain, and a 4.5 million defender, probably Chiara Elioski. I'd probably go for the second set of players. Yeah, so not having Erickson, having more money to spend elsewhere. Aman says, great job, Dylan. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Aman, for joining in, and good luck with this match day, and wish you all the best. Jordi Alba and Yashitsi or Pau Torres and Mount? I'd probably go with Pau Torres and Mount. Good luck, everyone, and enjoy the football. Likewise to you, Dylan. Would you prefer Erickson over Jotter? If they were the exact same money, I'd say yeah. It's only a 0.5 million difference, to be fair. But yeah, if I had 9 million and I didn't have to downgrade elsewhere, I probably would have Erickson, because I already have Ronaldo. So that's kind of everything covered. So yeah. I probably would prefer Erickson just a bit. Yeah, game starting soon. Yeah, literally 2 minutes. Should I watch this game in case I need to sub someone out, or can I just leave the team as it is? You don't have to watch the game. The substitution window occurs after the game is finished, and it lasts until the next game starts. So Switzerland versus Wales. So just bear that in mind. But yeah, you don't have to watch the game. What I would recommend though is, if you want to kind of not only look at stats but also have the eye test to rely on too, I would recommend watching some games, and then you can identify some of the best assets that maybe some YouTubers, content creators, and also other people in your leagues or people you know just don't have. What do you think are good points for each range? Good question, a very good question. I think for a goalkeeper, just 6 points really, and anything else is a bonus. For a defender, same thing, to be fair, and yeah, let's just say the same for defender and goalkeeper. For a midfielder, I think a good kind of return is, definitely 7 points or more. And yeah, for a forward, to be fair, I mean, yeah, I'd say 6 points each. But if you're talking about captaincy, I'd be aiming for 8 points or more. But yeah, really, I'm pretty happy with 6 points and a return from each player. But with the midfielders, you want a bit more, especially from premium assets. And then when you have premium assets in your attack, like Lukaku, Depay, Ronaldo, all this, you probably would be hoping for maybe 2 attacking returns, so maybe 9 points or 12 or something like that. Carrasco or Zielinski? I'd go for Carrasco. What about Barella, Immobile? Barella's a good option, and Immobile is too, but I've said this before, I prefer Berardi and Insignia. I think those are the standouts from Italy. Oh, wow, and they've taken my team away from me. How dare you? Okay. Can I at least see my team? No? You sure? Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, you got this blank screen. Berardi or Yuri Tielemans? I prefer Berardi, but the deadline has passed. It literally has passed just now. With the 8 million midfielders, does Wijnaldum stand out to you? I've recently learned that he plays a very attacking role with the Netherlands. Managed to get 8 goals, 2 assists in 7 games in the 20 qualifiers. Yeah, Zucchi, this is something I alluded to before. So Wijnaldum was actually someone I had in my team. But after looking at the friendlies and also Frank de Boer's kind of statements, it looks like Netherlands are going to be deploying a 5-3-2. And Wijnaldum in that formation and that system doesn't play as advanced as he used to. But if Netherlands were to play a 4-3-3, then Wijnaldum's definitely a great pick throughout the group stages. He's got good fixtures. He'd be in those positions that you want him to be, and he can get those goals and assists. But because of that kind of change of formation, I'm just not too sure, if I'm being completely honest. Hopefully I can get my team back up at least to showcase. No, I can't. Okay, thank you. Why do a lot of people have Bachmann as the goalkeeper? Because Schlager was the original Austrian goalkeeper, but Bachmann has taken his place. He's confirmed by the manager to be the starting keeper in the Euros. Austria also have North Macedonia to start the tournament, and they're one of the weaker teams you would suspect on paper. So that's why Bachmann is owned by a lot of people, or at least a lot of people in the YouTube community and Twitter community have been going for him. He's only 1% owned after all, but at 4.5 million, I think he's one of the better options. Locked in, yeah, we're locked in, and for some reason, yeah, I just can't see my team. So 72 points. 72. I mean, I wouldn't be too bothered by 72 points to start off the first match day, but I want more. I'm a bit greedy. I want more, but yeah, 72 points wouldn't be too bad. Yeah, the app doesn't work either. Yeah, a lot of times when kind of a fantasy game kicks off, they kind of have these issues where it kind of just doesn't show your team or whatever. But maybe throughout the tournament, this won't be an issue. Thanks for all your good advice, Dylan. Going to watch the game now. Have a good evening. Yeah, good evening to you as well, as Unai Emery would say, and enjoy the game as well. I'm probably going to be watching it. It's a good game. It has kicked off, and yeah, I'm going to be going into that. Really appreciate your advice. Took some of it. Only thing is, I personally am a bit in favour of spreading the risk of attackers a bit. Yeah, I think 2 Italy midfielders is maybe a bit overkill. Might hide now. Insigne plays. Yeah, I get your point. I mean, if I'm honest, yeah, I tend not to do that, double up on defences or midfields, but I've just done it, and it's a bit of a differential in a way, those combinations. We'll see how it goes, but as the tournament progresses, I might spread it around a bit. And if I do play my wildcard in free, then I probably would change things in terms of, you know, the combination of players, but we'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. Stuck with Mount and Yashitsi over Jotter and Nigo. Take into account Matchday 3 and Jotter being subbed, not starting, and Nigo does even play. He gets some starts here and there, but he also gets some substitution appearances, so that's something to bear in mind. Jotter, I think he will start, but he's going to share minutes with Felix. So yeah, I completely get your point, but what I like about Jotter is just he's very explosive. But as I said before to everyone, thank you for joining in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and good luck with Euro Fantasy Football this season, and wish you all the best. Hopefully you do very well and enjoy the tournament. Hopefully fantasy football doesn't get in the way of your enjoyment of the tournament. But yeah, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same as my YouTube handle, Dylan_RCM. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and yeah, I'll be doing more deadline streams in the future, as well as more team selection videos and all of that, more content, also talking about the Limitless and the wildcard in detail. That's all coming up. But thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.